If your subconscious could talk to you right now, not through anxiety or that familiar tightness in your stomach or the same situation showing up again and again, what would it say? Would it yell at you? Would it beg you to listen? Or would it just quietly repeat what it's been trying to tell you all along? I'm not fighting you. I'm fighting for you. We've been taught to see the subconscious as the problem, the thing that sabotages us, the part that keeps us stuck in old patterns, repeating the same mistakes, pulling us back every time we try to move forward. But what if that's completely wrong? What if your subconscious isn't your obstacle but your oldest protector? The part of you that still remembers every wound that never fully healed, every moment you had to hide to stay safe, every time you learned that being small meant being accepted. And here's where this gets quantum. Reality doesn't respond to what you consciously want. It responds to what your subconscious is constantly broadcasting. And your subconscious speaks in the language of safety, not desire. So while you're consciously trying to create abundance, success, love, your subconscious might still be transmitting fear, unworthiness, and doubt. Not because it wants to ruin your life, but because those frequencies once kept you alive. They once meant survival. And your subconscious's only job is to keep you safe, even if safe means staying exactly where you are. This video is about decoding that deeper language, understanding why you've been stuck even though you're doing everything right, why you've visualized, affirmed, meditated, read every book, listened to every teacher, and still find yourself looping back to the same place. If that's you, keep watching, because what I'm about to share will change how you see every pattern, every setback, every moment where you pulled back just before breaking through. Your subconscious doesn't communicate in words. It speaks in feelings, in body sensations, in patterns that repeat until you finally understand what they're trying to tell you. Every time you get close to something you want and suddenly feel an overwhelming urge to pull back, that's your subconscious speaking. Every time you start making progress and then mysteriously self-sabotage, that's a message. Every time you say you want change but find yourself choosing the familiar thing that keeps you stuck, that's communication. But we've been taught to see these moments as failures, as proof that we're broken or not strong enough or not ready. We judge ourselves for the hesitation, the fear, the retreat. We call it self-sabotage and beat ourselves up for it. But what if those moments aren't sabotage at all? What if they're your subconscious asking a question? Are you sure we're ready for this? Because last time we tried something new, we got hurt. Last time we were visible, we were rejected. Last time we trusted, we were betrayed. Your subconscious isn't trying to stop you. It's trying to make sure you've healed enough to handle what you're asking for. It's making sure you won't abandon yourself again the way others abandoned you. It's checking to see if this time, you'll stay present even when things get uncomfortable. That's not sabotage. That's protection. Clumsy, frustrating protection, but protection nonetheless. Here's the quantum truth most people miss. The universe isn't responding to your affirmations, your vision boards, or your positive thinking. It's responding to your dominant frequency. And your dominant frequency isn't what you think about. It's what you feel about yourself at the deepest level. You can say, "I am worthy of abundance," 1,000 times a day. But if your body carries the vibration of "good things don't last for people like me," reality will mirror the body, not the words, every single time. Because reality doesn't listen to language, it reads energy. And your energy is determined by what your subconscious believes is safe for you to experience. If your subconscious learned that love means pain, it will create situations where love becomes complicated. If it learned that success means isolation, it will make success feel uncomfortable and lonely. If it learned that visibility means danger, it will trigger anxiety every time you start to be seen. This isn't conscious. You're not choosing this. Your subconscious is running programs that were installed years ago, sometimes decades ago, by experiences you might not even remember. And those programs are broadcasting constantly, creating the reality you see around you. Think about your life right now. Look at what keeps showing up. The same type of relationship, the same financial ceiling, the same self-doubt at the same moments. Those aren't random. Those are reflections of what's running in your subconscious programming. And here's what's both frustrating and liberating. Reality isn't punishing you by showing you these patterns. It's being completely neutral. It's simply reflecting back exactly what you're broadcasting. It's a mirror, not a judge. The quantum field doesn't care what you want. It responds to what you are. And what you are is determined by what your subconscious believes about you, about life, about what's possible and safe. You've probably noticed that certain situations keep coming back. Not exactly the same, but similar enough that you recognize the pattern. Different person, same dynamic. Different job, same problems. Different circumstances, same feelings. And you've probably wondered, why does this keep happening? Why can't I break this cycle? What am I doing wrong? But you're not doing anything wrong. The pattern is repeating because it's carrying a message you haven't fully received yet. Your subconscious keeps creating these situations not to torture you, but to give you another chance to see something, feel something, choose something different. It's like your subconscious is tapping you on the shoulder saying, hey, this still hurts. This still needs your attention. We're not done here yet. Most people try to escape the pattern. They change cities, change partners, change careers, thinking that if they just get away from the external situation, the pattern will stop. But the pattern isn't out there. It's in here, in your nervous system, in your cellular memory, in the beliefs that got wired in before you even had language to question them. The pattern will follow you wherever you go until you turn around and face what it's trying to show you, until you stop running and start listening. And when you do finally stop and listen, when you stay present with the discomfort instead of immediately trying to fix it or escape it or spiritually bypass it with positive thinking, something shifts. The pattern doesn't need to repeat anymore, because the message has finally been received. Here's something nobody talks about. Resistance isn't always a sign you're going in the wrong direction. Sometimes, resistance is a sign you're going in exactly the right direction, and your subconscious is terrified because this path leads somewhere you've never been before. Think about it. When have you felt the most resistance in your life? Probably right before something important, right before a breakthrough, right before stepping into a version of yourself you've never been before. That resistance isn't random. It's your subconscious doing its job, keeping you in the known, protecting you from the uncertainty of change, making sure you really mean it this time before it lets you step into new territory. Because your subconscious has watched you start things before. It's seen you get excited about change, and then give up when it gets hard. It's seen you declare you're ready for something new and then retreat the moment it requires you to actually be different. So when resistance shows up now, it's not trying to stop you, it's testing you. Asking, are you serious this time, or are we just going through the motions again? And the only way to answer that question isn't with words, it's with action. With staying present even when every cell in your body wants to run. With choosing the new thing even when the old thing feels safer. With proving through your choices, not your intentions, that you've actually changed. That's when resistance finally relaxes. Not because you fought it, but because you showed it that you're ready to handle what's on the other side. There's a specific pattern that happens right before a breakthrough, and understanding it changes everything. Right before you shift into a new level, right before something finally clicks, you'll feel worse, not better. More doubt, not less. More fear, not more confidence. And most people interpret that as a sign they're failing. They think if this was right, it would feel good. If I was really ready, I wouldn't be this scared. So they back away, they retreat, they convince themselves they weren't ready after all. But that spike in discomfort isn't failure, it's the final clearing. It's your subconscious releasing the old frequency that kept you safe in the old reality. It's your nervous system discharging the patterns it doesn't need anymore. Think of it like this. When you're about to step into a new version of yourself, the old version doesn't just quietly step aside. It speaks up. It makes one last attempt to keep you where you are. Not out of malice, but out of the only logic it knows. What we know is safe. What we don't know is dangerous. So it sends you every doubt you've ever had, every fear you've tried to overcome, every reason why this won't work. And it does this loudly, urgently, convincingly. And if you don't understand what's happening, if you think this means you're moving backwards or that you were wrong to try, you'll stop, you'll go back, you'll prove to your subconscious that it was right to be afraid. But if you understand this as part of the process, if you can recognize that this emotional storm is actually evidence that you're about to break through, you can stay, you can be uncomfortable and still keep moving. You can feel the fear and choose differently anyway. And the moment you do that, the moment you don't collapse back into the old pattern when everything in you wants to, you send a signal to reality that changes everything. You prove that you've actually shifted, that you're not the same person who would have run before. And reality responds by reflecting that new version back to you. Underneath every fear, every hesitation, every moment of self-sabotage, your subconscious is asking one fundamental question. Will I still be safe if I become who I say I want to become? Will I still be loved if I'm successful? Will I still belong if I outgrow my family's limitations? Will I still be accepted if I stop playing small? Will I still be safe if I'm visible? These aren't logical questions. You can't think your way through them. You can't convince your subconscious with affirmations that yes, you'll be safe, because your subconscious doesn't trust words, it only trusts experience. It needs to feel safe in your body. It needs proof through your actions. It needs to experience, over and over, that you can step into new territory and survive, that you can be more and not lose everything. That expansion doesn't equal abandonment, and that proof comes slowly, one small choice at a time, one moment of staying present instead of running, one decision to choose growth over comfort, one experience of being uncomfortable and realizing you didn't die. Each time you do this, you're teaching your subconscious a new truth. You're rewiring the programming. You're showing it through lived experience that safety doesn't require staying small, that you can be more and still be loved, that you can be visible and still be safe. This is the real work, not visualizing a different life, but becoming a different person. Not imagining a new reality, but embodying a new frequency. Not thinking different thoughts, but creating new experiences that teach your subconscious a different truth. Here's what most people don't understand about manifestation. You don't create your reality through trying to control external circumstances. You create it by changing your internal state. And when your internal state changes, reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around the new frequency. But that internal change can't be faked. You can't pretend to feel safe and have reality respond to safety. You can't perform confidence and have the universe mirror confidence. Your subconscious knows the difference between genuine shift and performance, and so does reality. The shift has to be real, cellular, nervous system deep, which means it can't be rushed, it can't be forced. It happens through patient, consistent presence with whatever is actually true in your body right now. When you stop trying to override your fear with positivity and instead just acknowledge it, something shifts. When you stop fighting your doubt and just let it be there while you choose differently anyway, the doubt loses its power. When you stop judging yourself for the resistance and instead get curious about what it's protecting you from, the resistance softens. This is quantum presence, being fully here with what is, without needing it to be different. And paradoxically, that acceptance is what allows change, because you can't transform what you're rejecting. You can only transform what you're willing to be with. And when you finally learn to be with yourself completely, with all the messy, scared, uncertain parts, your frequency stabilizes. The signal you're sending out becomes coherent, clear, consistent, and that's when reality starts reflecting something different back to you. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped interfering with the natural reorganization that was trying to happen all along. Your subconscious doesn't need you to be perfect. It doesn't need you to never feel fear. It doesn't need you to only think positive thoughts or maintain a high vibration 24/7. What it needs is for you to stop abandoning yourself when things get uncomfortable. It needs you to stay present with the parts of you that are scared instead of trying to transcend them or fix them or shame them into changing. It needs you to prove through your actions that you're trustworthy, that you won't leave yourself the way others left you, that you won't reject yourself when you're not performing at your best, that you'll be there for yourself even in the messy, uncertain, uncomfortable moments. Because that's what creates safety, not external circumstances being perfect, not having all the answers, but knowing that no matter what happens, you won't abandon yourself. And when your subconscious finally feels that safety, when it finally trusts that you're not going to leave yourself behind, it relaxes, the grip loosens, the old patterns release, the fear that was running the show steps back, not because you fought it or overrode it or convinced it to change, but because it finally felt safe enough to let go. There's a moment in everyone's journey where they stop trying to become someone new and start remembering who they were before they learned to be afraid, before they learned to hide, before they learned that being themselves wasn't safe. That version of you still exists, not as a memory, but as a frequency, a possibility, a reality that's been waiting for you to stop performing and start being. And the moment you touch that frequency, even for a second, everything begins to reorganize, not because you're trying to manifest differently, but because you've finally aligned with who you actually are, underneath all the protection, all the programming, all the patterns. Your subconscious recognizes that frequency. It remembers it, and it relaxes because you're finally heading toward truth instead of away from it. This is what breakthrough actually feels like. Not dramatic, not explosive, just a quiet settling into yourself, a coming home, a remembering. And from that place, reality doesn't need to be controlled or manipulated or convinced. It simply reflects back the truth of who you've always been. You have a choice right now. You can keep fighting your subconscious, trying to override it with positivity, treating it like an enemy to conquer. Or you can start listening to it like the protector it's always been. You can keep judging yourself for the patterns that repeat, or you can get curious about what they're trying to tell you. You can keep running from discomfort, or you can start meeting it with presence. The quantum field is always listening, always responding, always mirroring back exactly what you're broadcasting. And what you're broadcasting isn't determined by what you think or say. It's determined by what your subconscious believes is safe. So the real question becomes, are you willing to do the deeper work? Not the work of visualization or affirmation, but the work of presence, of staying with yourself in the uncomfortable moments, of proving to your subconscious through lived experience that you can handle more than you think. Because that's what changes everything. Not forcing yourself to vibrate higher, but healing the parts that don't feel safe enough to rise. Not trying to manifest a different reality, but becoming a different frequency. Your subconscious knows what you need before you do. It's been trying to tell you. The patterns, the resistance, the fear, they're all messages. They're all communication. The question is, are you ready to listen? If something in this video resonated with you, drop one word in the comments that describes what your subconscious has been trying to tell you. It might be safety, worthiness, trust, release, or anything that feels true. That word is your signal, your acknowledgement that you're finally ready to hear what's been there all along. And if you know someone who's been stuck in patterns they can't break, share this with them. Sometimes we need someone else to name what we've been feeling but couldn't articulate. You're not broken. You're not sabotaging yourself. You're just finally ready to understand the language your subconscious has been speaking all along. And once you understand it, everything changes. Not because you forced it to change, but because you finally stopped fighting the very thing that was trying to help you heal.